Hillman sets a screen, rolls to the basket. Gray.
Welcome back to Clark USA fans. The moment everyone had been waiting for finally arrived, and just like that, the entire basketball world was split in two. The Team USA roster dropped, and within minutes, debates exploded across social media, sports shows, and fan communities. Some called it genius. Others called it a disaster. But one thing was undeniable. This was not just another roster. This was a statement. Names like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Kelsey Plum instantly grabbed headlines. These are the players fans expected to see, the stars who've been dominating conversations and redefining the modern game. But this team is about far more than just big names and highlight reels. Hidden within the list are stories of redemption, controversy, and shocking decisions that no one saw coming. A veteran who had delivered consistently on the biggest stages was suddenly left off the list, no explanation, no warning. Meanwhile, a rookie that many doubted, questioned, and even dismissed has now earned a place on the biggest stage in the world. That alone tells you everything you need to know. This roster is not about comfort. It's about bold choices. Some selections feel obvious. Others feel like a gamble. And a few? They've left fans completely furious. The question now is simple but powerful. Are we looking at the strongest Team USA ever assembled? Or did the selection committee just make the biggest mistake of 2026? Every single name on this roster carries a deeper story. Some are inspiring, some are controversial, and some might genuinely shock you once you understand what led to these decisions. So before we break it all down, make sure you're locked in, because what you're about to hear changes everything. Let's start with the guards. The players who control the tempo, dictate the rhythm, and ultimately decide how this team performs on the global stage. 8 guards. 8 completely different journeys. But only a few will truly define Team USA when the pressure hits. At the center of it all is Caitlin Clark. By now, her name isn't just known, it's unavoidable. She's become one of the most talked about athletes in basketball, and for good reason. In the 2025 WNBA season with the Indiana Fever, she put up incredible numbers: 16. 5 points, 5 rebounds, and an eye-opening 8. 8 assists per game. Those aren't just solid stats, they're elite, especially for someone still so early in her professional career. Drafted in 2024 out of the University of Iowa, Clark didn't just transition into the league, she took it by storm. In just 1 year, she went from a college superstar to a household name across the country. But here's the part that surprises many people. Despite all her success, this is her very first time representing the USA at the senior national level. Not her second. Not her third. Her first. Think about that for a moment. A player who shattered NCAA scoring records. A player who changed the way fans watch women's basketball. And yet, until now, she had never worn the USA jersey in senior competition. That changes today. Clark's game is built on vision, elite, almost unreal vision. She sees plays before they even develop. Passes that most players wouldn't even consider, she executes effortlessly. Add to that her ability to push the pace, and suddenly defenses are constantly on edge. And then there's her shooting range. It's not just good, it's dangerous. We're talking about a player who can pull up from well beyond the three-point line and still hit with confidence. The moment she gets into transition, defenses are forced into impossible decisions. Step up too early and she blows past you. Stay back and she'll punish you from deep. There's no right answer. Right beside her is Kelsey Plum, a player who represents experience, consistency, and relentless energy. If Clark is the future, Plum is the engine that keeps everything running. With 6 national team appearances already under her belt and a gold medal from the Paris Olympics in 2024, Plum brings something this roster desperately needs: proven success on the international stage. Her 2025 season with the Los Angeles Sparks was nothing short of impressive. Averaging 19, 5 points, 3, 1 rebounds, and 7 assists per game, she ranked among the top players in scoring, assists, and three-point shooting. But stats only tell part of the story.
Clock to 1, Lloyd. Oh yeah! Jewel Lloyd.
Plum is the kind of player who can change the entire flow of a game in minutes. One moment, things are balanced. The next, she goes on a scoring run that completely shifts momentum. Her left-handed shot is quick, unpredictable, and incredibly difficult to defend. Then there's Chelsea Gray. She may not be the tallest or fastest guard on the roster, but when it comes to control, composure, and decision-making under pressure, she stands in a league of her own. Ask anyone in the WNBA who they least want to face in a close game, and her name comes up every time. They call her the point guard for a reason. Her ball handling is precise. Her no-look passes are almost impossible to read. And her ability to stay calm when everything is on the line makes her one of the most dangerous players in clutch situations. She doesn't just play the game, she controls it. Joining this elite group is Paige Bueckers, another rising star making her first appearance on the senior national team. Standing at 6 feet tall and playing for the Dallas Wings, she averaged 2 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 for assists in the 2025 season. Drafted the same year, she wasted no time proving she belongs at this level. Bueckers is what coaches call a pure scorer. She can create her own shot from anywhere on the floor, and more importantly, she does it efficiently. She doesn't just take shots, she makes the right ones. Sonia Citron adds versatility to this already stacked guard lineup. At 6 feet 1 inch, she brings size, flexibility, and defensive strength. Playing for the Washington Mystics, she averaged nearly 15 points per game in her 2025 season. But her real value lies in her ability to adapt. She's not limited to one role. She can defend multiple positions, switch assignments seamlessly, and give the coaching staff options that few other players can. Then comes Ryan Howard, a player whose physical presence immediately stands out. At 6 feet 2 inches, she's one of the tallest guards in the game, and she uses that height to her advantage in every possible way. In 2025, she averaged 5 points while also contributing across rebounds and assists. But what truly sets her apart is her defensive instinct. Leading the season in three-pointers is impressive, but leading in blocks as a guard during the 3x3 tournament? That's something else entirely. It speaks to her timing, awareness, and ability to disrupt plays. When she gets hot from the perimeter, the entire offense opens up. And finally, there's Jackie Young. Strong, disciplined, and incredibly reliable, she's often described as one of the toughest guards in the world. Playing for the Las Vegas Aces, she averaged 5 points, along with solid contributions in rebounds and assists. Her game isn't flashy. It's effective. She plays with physicality, locks down opponents defensively, and consistently makes the right decision at the right moment. She's the kind of player every team needs, but not every team has. Now let's shift focus to the forwards, the backbone of this team. If the guards bring speed and creativity, the forwards bring strength, dominance, and control of the paint. And leading that group is Angel Reese. From the moment she entered the WNBA, she carried something with her, a chip on her shoulder that never went away. And instead of letting it weigh her down, she used it as fuel. Standing at 6 feet 3 inches and playing for the Chicago Sky, Reese delivered an incredible 2025 season. She averaged 7 points, but it's her rebounding that truly stands out. 6 per game. That's not just impressive. That's dominance. She fights for every possession. She battles in the paint. She does the kind of work that doesn't always make headlines, but wins games. This will be her first appearance on the senior national team, and if her past performances are any indication, she's ready for the moment. She doesn't back down. She doesn't hesitate. And when it comes to physical play, she embraces it. This Team USA roster isn't just a collection of talent. It's a mix of personalities, styles, and stories that could either come together perfectly or clash under pressure. And that's what makes this so fascinating. Because in the end, talent alone doesn't guarantee success. Chemistry does. And the world is watching to see if this team has it.
She can't believe it!
When it comes to players like Angel Reese, there's a reason coaches value them so highly, and it goes far beyond the stat sheet. For Reese, double-doubles aren't something she occasionally delivers when everything clicks. They're the standard. They're the expectation every single night she steps onto the court. That level of consistency is rare, and it's exactly why she has become such an important piece of this roster. She doesn't just play the game, she imposes her presence on it. Every rebound is contested. Every possession is fought for. And every opponent knows they're in for a physical battle the moment she's on the floor. But Reese isn't the only forward bringing intensity and impact to this team. Daira Hamvey is another name that might not dominate headlines the same way, but inside the locker room and among the coaching staff, her value is undeniable. She brings a level of energy that simply cannot be taught. At 6 feet 3 inches, playing for the Los Angeles Sparks, she delivered an outstanding 2025 season, averaging 18.4 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 3.3 assists per game. Those numbers alone make her a strong candidate, but statistics still don't fully capture what she brings. Hamvey's game is built on effort, the kind that shows up in moments most fans don't even notice. Setting hard screens to free up teammates. Chasing down loose balls that look impossible to recover. Sprinting the floor in transition before defenders even realize what's happening. These are the plays that don't always make highlight reels, but they change games in very real ways. They shift momentum, create second chances, and wear down opponents over time. This will be her third appearance on the national team, and in her previous outing during the 3x3 tournament, she led the team in rebounds. That tells you everything you need to know about her mindset. She's willing to do the dirty work, the physical work, the work that wins championships. Then there's Kiki Arifan, a name that many fans are just starting to recognize. She represents the next wave of talent, young, developing, and full of potential. Standing at 6 feet 3 inches and playing for the Washington Mystics, she averaged 13.3 points, 8.5 rebounds, and contributed across multiple areas during the 2025 season. Drafted in 2025 out of USC, this marks her very first appearance on the national team at any senior level. And that alone makes her one of the most intriguing selections on this roster. What sets Arifan apart isn't just her size or her athleticism, it's her footwork. Unlike traditional post players who rely heavily on strength and positioning near the basket, she brings a more modern approach. She can step out, face up, and knock down mid-range shots with confidence. That ability creates matchup problems for opposing bigs who aren't used to defending outside the paint. She's still developing. There are areas of her game that need refinement, but the potential is undeniable. And sometimes, international competition is exactly where players like her take that next big step. Rounding out the forward group is Kalia Copper, the veteran presence that every championship-level team needs. Drafted back in 2016, Copper brings experience, composure, and a proven track record of delivering when it matters most. She has represented the national team multiple times, and her performance in the 2024 Paris Olympics remains one of the defining moments of her career. In the gold medal game against France, she scored 12 points, 10 of them coming in the fourth quarter. When the pressure was at its highest, when the margin for error was at its smallest, she stepped up and took control. That's not something you can teach. In the 2025 season with the Phoenix Mercury, she averaged 15.6 points while contributing in rebounds and playmaking as well. But again, her true value shows up in the moments that decide games. When everything is on the line, she wants the ball. And more importantly, her teammates trust her with it. Now here's where things take an unexpected turn. Out of the entire roster, 12 players total, only one is listed as a true center. Just one. That responsibility falls entirely on Aaliyah Boston. At 6 feet 5 inches, Boston has already established herself as one of the most fundamentally sound players in the game. During the 2025 season with the Indiana Fever, she averaged 15 points, 8.2 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game. Drafted in 2023 out of South Carolina, she's no stranger to high-level competition. But this situation is different.
The last 2 games of this regular season is Citron takes and makes from deep.
This time, she's not just part of the rotation, she is the rotation at the center position. That means every opposing team will be targeting her. Every scouting report will focus on her. Every game plan will include strategies designed specifically to test her limits. They'll attack her physically. They'll try to draw fouls. They'll force her into difficult defensive situations. And yet, if you watch Boston play, there's no sign of hesitation. Her game isn't built on raw athleticism alone. It's built on fundamentals, footwork, positioning, awareness, and anticipation. She reads plays before they happen. She understands where she needs to be before the ball even moves in that direction. That level of understanding is what separates good players from great ones. Defensively, her presence changes everything. When an opponent drives toward the basket and sees Boston rotating into position, the entire decision-making process shifts. Do they attempt the shot and risk getting blocked? Do they pull up and settle for a less efficient option? Or do they pass out and reset the offense? None of those choices are comfortable. And that hesitation, that brief moment of doubt, is often enough to disrupt the entire play. Offensively, she's just as reliable. She doesn't demand the ball unnecessarily. Instead, she earns her opportunities through smart movement, proper positioning, and timing. By the time she receives the ball near the rim, she has already done the hard work to create a high-percentage scoring opportunity. Every touch matters. Every possession counts. And for Boston, efficiency is everything. The coaching staff had a critical decision to make when building this roster. Do they include additional bigs for depth and security? Or do they commit fully to versatility, stacking the roster with guards and forwards who can adapt to multiple roles? They chose versatility. They chose flexibility. And most importantly, they chose to trust Aaliyah Boston. But that decision comes with risk. If she gets into foul trouble, if she faces injuries, or if opposing teams successfully exploit the lack of depth at her position, the entire structure of this roster could be tested. The margin for error is incredibly small. And yet, if there's one player built to handle that kind of pressure, it might just be Boston. Now let's talk about the players who didn't make the cut, because this is where things get uncomfortable. Every name included on this roster means someone else was left out. And in some cases, those omissions are just as shocking as the selections themselves. Veronica Burton was widely expected to make the team. Known for her elite defensive abilities, she has consistently been one of the most reliable perimeter defenders in the league. She reads passing lanes with precision, applies pressure without committing unnecessary fouls, and does all the little things that championship teams rely on. Her absence didn't just surprise fans, it raised serious questions. Then there's Juju Watkins. And this one might be the toughest to process. Considered by many to be one of the most talented young players in the country, her omission feels less like a decision and more like a missed opportunity. Her skill set, her potential, and her ability to take over games made her a strong candidate in the eyes of many analysts. But in the end, she didn't make the list. And that's the reality of building a roster at this level. Talent alone isn't enough. Timing matters. Fit matters. And sometimes, even the best players have to wait for their moment. This Team USA roster is bold. It's unconventional. And it's filled with players who each bring something unique to the table. But whether that uniqueness turns into dominance or disaster will only be decided when they step onto the court and face the rest of the world. Because in international basketball, there are no easy games. Only big moments. And this team is about to face all of them.
It's deep. KT even put it in.
And just when you think you've seen everything, another story emerges. One that perfectly captures how unpredictable and emotional this selection process really is. Juju Watkins had already begun writing history in her own way. In one unforgettable performance, she set the USC record for most points in a single game, proving to everyone watching that she isn't just talented, she's generational. The kind of player who doesn't wait for opportunities, but creates them. The kind of player who changes expectations. There was a real conversation happening around her. Not just hype, not just excitement, but a genuine belief that if things aligned, she could have become the first collegiate women's player ever selected directly to the senior national team. That's how highly people thought of her ability. But sometimes, talent isn't the deciding factor. Timing is. And unfortunately, timing wasn't on her side. An untimely injury placed her on the sidelines at the worst possible moment. Just as the door was opening, it closed again. Not because she wasn't good enough, but because her body simply wouldn't allow it. It's one of the hardest realities in sports. You can do everything right and still miss out. But this isn't the end of her story. Far from it. If anything, this moment might fuel her even more. The basketball world knows what she's capable of, and now it's just a matter of time before she gets another shot. Get well soon, Juju. The game needs players like you. Another name that kept coming up in conversations was Cameron Brink. At 6 feet 4 inches with a wingspan that immediately stands out, she has the kind of physical profile that coaches dream about. Length, defensive presence, and the ability to disrupt plays without even needing to make direct contact. She's still developing, still refining her game, but the raw tools are undeniable. You can't teach that kind of size combined with mobility. You can't coach wingspan. It's something you either have or you don't. And Brink has it. The selection committee, however, made a calculated decision. They looked at the current forward group and believed it already had enough depth, enough versatility, enough balance. But even with that reasoning, it's hard not to wonder what Brink could have added, especially in a tournament where size and defense often become the difference in close games. Then there's Rickea Jackson. Another talented player. Another difficult omission. Playing for the Los Angeles Sparks, she has shown flashes of brilliance and the ability to step up in key moments. Yet, when the final list was revealed, her name wasn't on it. And that's the harsh truth about elite-level selection. Sometimes it's not about whether you're good enough. It's about whether you fit exactly what the team needs at that specific moment. Brianna Jones represents a completely different kind of heartbreak. Her situation wasn't about selection debates or roster fit. It was about circumstance. Just weeks before the roster announcement, while playing overseas, she suffered a torn meniscus. A brutal injury and even more brutal timing. Moments like that remind you how fragile opportunities can be. One game, one play, one injury, and everything changes. The entire basketball community felt that one. Not just because of what she brings on the court, but because of what she's been through to get here. Injuries don't just test your body, they test your patience, your mindset, your belief in yourself. Get well soon, Brianna. Come back stronger. Then there's Lauren Betts, a name that might not dominate headlines yet, but absolutely should be on your radar. Currently playing at UCLA, she represents the future. A potential center option who, given more time and development, could become a dominant force. Missing out on this roster at her stage isn't a setback, it's part of the process. In fact, moments like this often become motivation. They create hunger.
Lets it fly and hits.
Oh my goodness gracious.
They push players to elevate their game faster than anyone expected. Watch that name closely, because this likely isn't the last time you'll hear it. And finally, we arrive at one of the most debated omissions of all, Brittney Griner. Her numbers alone demand attention. In the 2025 season, even while playing limited minutes for the Atlanta Dream, she still ranked 7th in the entire league in blocked shots. Think about that. Limited minutes. Still top 7. That's not normal. That's dominance in a very specific, very valuable area of the game. Rim protection at that level changes everything for a defense. It forces opponents to adjust. It creates hesitation. It alters game plans. And yet, she's not on the roster. For many fans, this was the biggest surprise. Some even call it the biggest mistake of the entire selection process. Because when you look at this team, especially with only one true center, you can't help but wonder if her presence could have provided the exact kind of insurance this roster seems to lack. But the committee made its decision. And now, all that's left is to see whether that decision pays off. Because on paper, this team looks incredible. The guard depth alone is something most international teams can only dream of. Playmakers, scorers, defenders, every role is covered, and then some. The forward group brings energy, rebounding, and versatility, capable of adapting to different matchups and styles of play. And in the center position, there's one elite anchor expected to hold it all together. There's experience, players who have been on this stage before, who understand the pressure, the expectations, the intensity of international competition. And there's hunger, first-time players who have waited their entire careers for this opportunity and are ready to prove they belong. But here's the reality. Paper doesn't win games.
Over 2K in her career. In a statement.
Talent doesn't guarantee success. Because when you're deep into a semi-final game against a team like Spain or Australia, and the score is separated by just one possession, none of that matters. What matters is chemistry. And this is where things get complicated. This roster is filled with alpha players, leaders, stars, athletes who are used to having the ball in their hands when the game is on the line. Caitlin Clark wants that moment. Kelsey Plum wants that moment. Chelsea Gray wants that moment. Kalia Copper wants that moment. Angel Reese brings a mentality that demands involvement in every critical possession. And the truth is they've all earned that right. They've all proven themselves. But basketball doesn't allow for 5 players to control the same moment at once. In a 40-minute game, decisions have to be made. Who takes the shot? Who steps back? Who stays on the floor and who goes to the bench when adjustments are needed? These are the choices that define championships. And they're not easy. International basketball adds another layer to this challenge. The style of play is different. More physical. More structured. Officiating can vary. The pace can shift depending on the opponent. Teams that rely solely on individual brilliance often struggle. Teams that play connected, disciplined, and selfless basketball are the ones that succeed. Team USA has never lacked talent. That's never been the issue. The real question has always been whether that talent can come together and function as a true team. The veterans on this roster, Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, Kalia Copper, Jackie Young, they understand this better than anyone. They've been through it. They've experienced the pressure, the expectations, and the adjustments required to win at this level. Their role goes beyond scoring points or making plays. They set the tone. They establish the culture inside the locker room. They guide the younger players through moments they've never experienced before. And for Caitlin Clark, this represents a completely new kind of test. The WNBA is competitive, no doubt, but it's familiar territory for her now. She understands the rhythm, the opponents, the environment. International basketball is different. Different defenses, different physicality, different expectations. Everything is new. And how she adapts in those early games will shape not just this tournament, but potentially her entire future with Team USA. Angel Reese, on the other hand, brings something that can't be measured with numbers. Energy. Relentless, contagious energy. She dives for loose balls. She battles in the paint. She makes every possession feel important. And that kind of effort spreads. It lifts teammates. It creates momentum. It changes the emotional tone of the game. And then there's the one issue that continues to stand out. No backup center. If Aaliyah Boston finds herself in foul trouble during a critical game, the coaching staff will have to improvise. Forwards may need to shift into unfamiliar roles. Lineups will have to adjust on the fly. It's a risk. A calculated one, but a risk nonetheless. And you can be sure that international teams have already noticed it. They will test it. They will try to exploit it. Everything comes down to execution. The talent is there. The experience is there. The motivation is there. But none of it matters unless this group can come together when it counts the most. That's the final question. And it's the only one that truly matters. This is Team USA's 2026 World Cup roster. 12 players. One mission. To every player who made this team, congratulations. You earned it. And to those who didn't, this isn't the end. It's just another chapter in your journey. Now it's your turn. Did the committee get it right? Or was someone unfairly left out? Who would you replace and who deserves that spot? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation is far from over. And if you found value in this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps more fans discover content like this. We'll see you in the next one.